finally time to cut apart the Rick Owens Geobaskets. One of the most requested shoes, kind of boots that we've ever had requested on the channel, because these high fashion brands have a horrible track record, especially on this channel, of producing really terrible quality products at an extremely high price point. And we've seen it with Gucci's, the Balenciagas, the Golden Gooses, all the ones that we've cut apart. But we're always on the hunt for that one rare unicorn, the designer product that's actually worth the price tag. The quality materials match the price point that you pay. And these chunky were one of the shoes that really started this tidal wave of high fashion brands making streetwear sneakers more consumable for regular people. And lots of people say that Rick Owens Geobaskets are known for their high quality materials, sturdy construction methods, and actually being a long lasting durable product. So we're gonna cut these ridiculously priced sneaker slash boots in half, run them through all of our tests to really figure out, are the Rick Owens Geobaskets decent quality regardless of the price? Are they somehow worth that designer price tag? Is there an argument to be made that they are worth the price tag regardless of the quality? Or is this just another example of these designer high-end brands selling overpriced junk to people that maybe don't know any better, or maybe they don't even care? And that's what we're gonna figure out. And finally, after all the requests and the DMs and the emails asking us to cut these apart, we're gonna do it. And if you don't know who Rick Owens is, he was born in 1962 in Porterville, California. And according to an interview in Vogue, Rick's first job was working at a Taco Bell, and his mom was worried about him, so she drove him to LA to attend fashion school. I don't know how many people who have worked at Taco Bell's parents were like, you know what, let's put you in a better place. Let's take you to LA for fashion school. And already off the bat, I'm like, okay, cool origin story. Like my BS rater's already kind of going off the charts. Like, oh, I had humble beginnings at Taco Bell. Then my mom took me to fashion school in LA. Like, okay. But after attending the Otis College of Art and Design for 2 years, Rick dropped out. Rick said that it was because he was intimidated by all the classes and he couldn't really afford it. So he just started studying pattern making at the LA Trade Technology College. And because of that new pattern making skill that he acquired, he allegedly got his first job in the fashion industry, knocking off pattern making for designers in LA's cheap fashion scene. But in 1994, Rick Owens launched his own self-titled brand in LA, and the Rick Owens style was a minimalist draped, deconstructed garments that contrasted the mainstream 90s fashion. But in 2001 is where he finally got his first big mainstream break, even though he had some success, because Kate Moss was photographed wearing one of his jackets in Vogue Paris, giving his brand international exposure. And because of that exposure, just a year later in 2002, Rick Owens made his Paris Fashion Week debut with a show backed by Vogue editor-in-chief Anna Wintour. And from that show, Rick Owens' aesthetic was described as gothic grunge, gothic ninja. So as his popularity continued to grow and skyrocket, Rick Owens launched his furniture line in 2005, characterized by brutalist aesthetic and raw materials such as plywood, stone, antlers. But in 2006 is when Rick Owens really started to venture into the sneaker world with his first attempt at an in-house sneaker. Featured oversized tongue similar to this, padded collar, and it was just big and chunky. He stated that his intention was the athletic-inspired high-top sneaker was to create a monster truck for your feet. And people referred to these as the Rick Owens Dunks since it looked so similar to the Nike Dunk. And so similar, actually, that in 2010, the similarities are a little bit too close to Nike's Dunk, so much so that Nike sent them a cease and desist letter. But because of that, also in 2010, one of the most famous, infamous Rick Owens sneakers products of all time, the Geobasket, was released. And from 2010 to 2015 is really where Rick Owens went super mainstream, specifically with this Geobasket, in a big part due to rappers like A$AP Rocky, Kanye West, Travis Scott. And because of that, these just blew up in popularity. They're kind of responsible for that really big chunky shoe trend during that era, with brands like Balenciaga, Yeezy, and other popular chunky shoes like the Wave Runners, the Triple S, capitalizing on the groundwork that the Geobasket laid. And so that's something also to keep in mind too with this whole story, is like sometimes there is additional value and there's a reason to pay extra for the originals. But like all trends, eventually they die off and drift off into obscurity, and so did the chunky sneaker trend that included the Geobasket, that slowly went out of vogue to a point where there's still people that wear them and they're still really popular, just not as popular as they used to be. But once again, like all trends, they do have a resurgence. In the last couple of years, these Rick Owens and just Rick Owens in general has had a big resurgence in the style industry, as you can see from the Google Trends here. So is this an example of a brand starting a trend that's actually worth it? Is there some value you can bake into that and say, oh, I'm fine spending the extra money because it is the original? Or is it all just a facade? Is this just a brand trying to capitalize on the former popularity, on the people that maybe don't know any better, or maybe that don't care, because this shoe is so ridiculously priced? We're down in the new shop. I don't know if you've seen the new shop tour or not, but like got the media team set up. But I want to show you the actual like manufacturing side, because we got some really cool products that I think in this video specifically you'll see the difference between BS designer stuff versus real handmade stuff. Because we got over here Addie's hand sewing our wallets. So instead of a sewing machine, we use old school saddle stitching techniques, like how you build saddles from the last 300 years. And Addie loves it. That's why she stitches wallets all day, every day.
I do love it.
And then Hadley's over here bundling all together all the laces. So these are our boot and shoe laces. Got some red, got some black, got some blue, some green. We've got our boot breaker system. This thing has been popping off. Like, we sell so many of these because it's for some reason, nobody made a little thin insole that makes heritage boots more comfortable. And then this is where we stock all of our wallets. Oh man, look at that, that's a nice shot. Like I said, these are all hand sewn. These are not with sewing machines. These are what's really been popular. These are our slim neck strap. It's our belt thickness leather. It's hand sewn details there, solid brass hardware. Got a little neck piece there to protect your neck. This is the harness cove where Daniel sits here and makes harnesses all day, every day. You can see we got the little buckets with the Lone Bandit that Twister's 100% knocked off and didn't give us any credit. We caught them buying the hardware for the movie from us, but not giving us any credit and not even using our harness. So I just want to show you the strap cutter real quick. Like all the strap, you know, it's a heavy duty lace. But what's really cool is this right here. Doesn't it look awesome? I know. I just want to live in this. So check out all this stuff below. We got all the camera gear, we got the laces, we got the boot gear, got the handmade wallets, and every single one of these laces we cut by hand. Well, by hand with machine, Josh's hands. Look at that. Isn't that so cool? So check them out below. You can tie like 10 boots with these. So what is this shoe? Well, the brand is Rick Owens. The style is the SS25 Hollywood Mega Bumper Geobasket. They weigh 2 pounds, 4 ounces. They retail for $1,265. One of the most expensive footwear that we've ever cut in half. Even comparing it to some of the highest end boots and shoes, the handmade bespoke boots that we've cut apart, still cheaper than these. And the way they position this product is these Mega Bumper Geobaskets are above ankle height. They feature an extended tongue with webbing tab, signature geometric panels, and a padded back counter with lines of top stitching. They have 7 eyelets with contrast lacing, zipper on the inside ankle for easy fastening, and double height. Mega Bumper Shark Tooth Sole. God, there's a whole bunch of made up words in here. This medium weight full grain calf leather has flat and matte surface finish and is specifically tanned for shoes with an abrasion resistant finish. We'll see. If you do want a pair of these, be sure to check them out via links in my description. So now, let's see what's what. Let's see if there's all a bunch of BS. Is this just another stupid high-end designer brand making a terrible shoe? Well, the leather is shockingly decent because, like they said, it is calfskin. And if you don't know what calfskin is, it's kind of in the name, right? It comes from a young cow or a calf, typically under the age of 6 months old, and it's prized for its softness, its fine grain pattern, its durability, and luxurious feel because it's from a little small cow rather than a big adult cow. And so it's a lot of times it's not quite as durable, it's not as thick, but in these thinner thicknesses, like this shoe is, because this comes in at 1.5 down to 1.2, depending on which panel you're looking at. So right on par with what you want to see with a sneaker. And most sneakers don't use calfskin because it's a lot more expensive because there's less yield per calf rather than a whole adult cow. And it's just a finer tanning process because it's a little bit more delicate of a leather compared to a really thick slab of leather. So calfskin has a little bit finer grain pattern. It holds its shape a little bit better in these thinner thicknesses. It's just not as durable, and it's a little bit harder to get calfskin really hard and durable and stiff. But for a product like this, where it's clearly not like a work boot, it's not a work shoe, it's made for comfort, but still needs to maintain some semblance of its price tag in terms of the quality materials. Kind of impressed by the leather, to be honest. I thought it was just gonna be garbage because we've seen it from all those other designer shoes, like the Golden Gooses. They're so bad, and they're like $800. And so right off the bat, pretty impressed with the Geobaskets, to be honest. Just the leather alone, I'm like, okay, maybe there's something to this boot. And obviously there's a zipper on the side. I'm never a fan of zippers, but it's a style boot. And we looked at the macro shot of the cross section, plenty of grain still left in there. We ran the burn test on it, and it does have a little bit of a top coat. Not so much that it separates really easily, but enough that it gives you a nice even coat and finish on the leather, because it's not like these guys that are buying these are trying to find like the unique patina and character in leather. They just want like a flat looking leather, but because it's also calfskin, it has that tighter grain structure that doesn't separate from that top coat nearly as much. So across the board, pretty good leather. Is that alone worth $1,200? No, because we even put that in our Koyo collaboration, and that was like $330 or so. And so you can get this premium leather in under $400 shoes. And we ran the puncture test on it and compared it to the Nike Blazers that did 103 pounds of puncture through. This calfskin took 132 pounds of puncture through. Well, so far so good, but what about the inside? This is where you start to see brands cheapen out because it looks like it's fully leather lined. We tested all these various panels and it is. Like, I thought for sure they're gonna sneak some fake leather in here. And it's honestly not as nice as the outer leather, but it's still decent leather on the inside. It still has a decent amount of grain in it. It's still a good thickness at 1 millimeter thick. It even has an internal dedicated counter cover that's flipped so it grips your heel as you walk. So even the lining's pretty good. Is the lining worth $1,200? No. Is the lining in the outer leather worth $1,200? No. But maybe there's something else on the inside. So let's pull out the insole. What do we have for the insole? It's just a cheap insole, honestly. It's topped with that same lining leather, but it's a dual density outsole with some open cell foam that's really, really cheap. Like that is about as cheap of a insole foam as you can get. And underneath it's more of a firmer open cell foam. And so it's still an insole, it's still gonna give you some comfort, but far from a $1,200 insole. Like they had so much room to improve this and make it a better insole, but it's just a cheapo. And then if you look underneath of that, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on because it has at least a half sock liner and maybe even a full length sock liner because it's hard to really tell. And it feels like there's maybe some padding underneath of it or padding underneath the ball of the foot. And so I'm really curious how this sole is constructed because the upper seems to be pretty decent quality, but really where your shoes fail a lot of the time is how that upper is attached to the bottom and everything that you're actually standing on, walking on, the part of the shoe that takes the impact of wearing it, which is everything underneath your foot. And so from the sole down is really where I'm concerned about the quality of this, and that's gonna make or break the shoe to me. Because even the construction you can see from the outside, you can see it has a sidewall stitch, so it's made to be somewhat durable. You can see it actually goes through to the inside, so it's not a fake stitch. It seems like it's pretty decent rubber. It comes in at a pretty tough, like 70 short A, so it's gonna be durable. It has this ripple sole pattern, it's gonna give you some grip. And other than that, it's hard to really tell what else is going on the inside of this. Looks like this outsole is a full cup sole. I don't see any seams anywhere. It has this little ripple pattern on the bottom. Hardness is about 60 short A, which is about what you would see from a more durable outsole in like a sneaker or even a boot. We did the puncture test. It only took 46 pounds of puncture through, so that's not the greatest result. And it might be because this is a thermoplastic rubber outsole. You know, maybe there's some properties there, but I'm more concerned about the lack of durable materials on the inside because it only took 46 pounds of puncture through. So is the inside of this all garbage or does it actually match the quality that we've seen in the upper and in the lining? Let's find out by cutting these $1,200 Geobaskets in half. All right, we got it cut in half, and this is one of the more expensive shoes that we've ever cut. So if you don't mind, give us a little sub, like the video, give us a comment, even if it's a negative one, it still helps. And the reason we're doing all this crazy stuff this year, because we're really hitting the content hard, and that's because we got some crazy announcements coming up. We got one of the biggest giveaways, if not the biggest giveaway in footwear history, especially on YouTube. And we've got some stuff coming down the pipe that's gonna completely change the footwear industry, in my opinion. And so all your support and all the little things like liking, subscribing, all your support is how we're gonna be able to do that and really show you guys what we have planned. So thank you guys for your support. So now, let's see what's inside. So how's it look? Well, there is one material that really surprised me because right here in the heel, in that heel counter, that's a leatherboard heel counter. And that was surprising to me. It's not the most premium material for this area that grips your heel and stabilizes it so your foot's not slipping around all over the place. You know, your most premium is like your veg tan leather, but it's really hard to break in. Sometimes can just never fully break in to be comfortable, especially on a high-end boot that you're only wearing on occasion. And then right underneath veg tan, to me, is that leatherboard. It has some of the properties of the leather. It still molds the shape of your heel, but it molds faster. It's still pretty durable, and it's more durable than what's, to me, inferior than that, which is just your thermoplastic stuff, your cellulose base counter. which is basically just plastic infused fabric. So shocking quality. Is it $1,200 quality? No, because you see this like this kind of counter material in like $400 and under footwear. But what about the rest? Well, now that we've got the insole out, we can see that it does have a leather half sock liner, but it's honestly kind of disappointing on the inside because it's just fiberboard. You know, it's got a little patch of softness right there at the ball of your foot, but it's just really thin fiberboard sitting on top of this really heavy structured outsole. And the reason they did this is obviously they needed the height, and if you fill this all the way up with solid rubber, these things weigh like 15 pounds. And so you almost have to create these columned open cell outsoles to keep the squish, keep the height without them being super heavy. But honestly, we've seen other brands do it a little bit better by infusing some foam in there. And what that does is it prevents these high spots and low spots up in here where you've got really, really thin materials that your toe will literally press down in between these cavities, giving you high spots and low spots because it's completely unstructured. And they have fixed that a little bit in the heel because you can see it's got a little bit of compressed cardboard underneath the heel, which structures the compression of those cells or these open columns. But where it's the most uncomfortable to have those high and low spots right in the toe, there's no structure underneath of it. And this is what you see in like cheap footwear. Like you see this in like the sub $50 footwear. And so that was kind of a bummer to me. And honestly, that's about it. There's not much else in the shoe. I was really hoping for some better materials on the inside, having that foam at least to give it some additional value, having some other materials in this really cheap, thin fiberboard that's just gonna compress overly into these little cavities. There's literally nothing else in here that is worth anything. So then what are the actual premium materials in this? Well, because I like the leather in the upper. I think it's a good leather. You know, it's better than all the Nikes, the New Balances. It's better than the vast majority of sneaker leathers that we've seen. But it's not like you don't see it in $300, $400 sneakers. The lining leather's pretty decent. You know, now it's cut in half. You can see it is a lot more coated on top than I initially thought. We did the burn test and you can see how much more coating there is on there. I like that it's flesh out on the heel, but that's about it. I like that there is some sidewall stitch here and that it is a solid cup sole. But other than that, the rest is just like, it's built like $100 sneakers. Really, that's really what it comes down to. So then for over $1,200 are the Rick Owens Geobaskets. Decent quality, regardless of the price. Kinda, you know, for how much would I say this would cost if it was just some random brand or if it was like a Nike sneaker? I'd probably say $200, maybe up to $250. Really stretching at $300 if you really want to be generous because it's like a small brand. And then keep in mind, we're not weighing in the Rick Owens cultural significance and the hype and the designer aspect. We're just looking at the materials compared to 500 plus shoes that we've cut apart to basically say there's no way this thing is worth more than like $200-300 tops. So about $1,000 overpriced is ultimately what it comes down to. So are these worth that designer price tag? Is there an argument to be made that they're worth it somehow? But you know, you could kind of make an argument to say like, well, they're the original that really popularized this monster truck, oversized, ridiculously big shoes, but they're not the only ones that popularized it. You know, it's not like just this shoe was the only one that kind of was springing up at that time. It's honestly very similar to the Common Projects. You know, the Common Projects, people still will buy them regardless of the quality, even though they've seen the videos and they've seen us pretty well proven that there's a lot better shoes for less than half the price. People still want it because it's the original, because it's the silhouette, and ultimately a lot of people that are buying these for $1,200 don't care about what's on the inside. They're buying these because it's a status symbol. They're buying this because they can afford something that other people cannot. And it has nothing to do with owning a shoe that's higher quality, that's gonna last a long time, that you're actually buying quality. The money goes straight towards the hype. It goes straight towards the status. It goes towards buying the Rick Owens name and the Geobasket name and the aesthetic and the vibe. That's what you're paying for, because it's pretty hard to say this is worth anything more than $200 or $300. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what other hype, high-end designer footwear you want us to cut in half, because I love exposing this bull. And especially after years and years of people and all the things they said about it and how hyped they were, I love seeing that it's just junk on the inside. So thank you guys for all your support. And once again, give us a sub, give us a like. These were so freaking pricey, and we got some wild stuff coming up this year. And this is our way of giving back to you guys. And so we're really trying to deliver on the content, so help us out. And thank you guys for all you do. See ya.